The MMA fighter shoved Jason Statham square in the chest, laughing into the microphone about movie muscles, while the arena crowd roared with amusement. Statham didn't flinch. He peeled off his jacket, rolled his shoulders, and stepped directly into the cage with the cold, calculated stillness of a man who had been waiting for exactly this moment. What happened in the next 4 minutes would become arena legend, a story whispered about for decades. Jason Statham's fist connected with the heavy bag so hard the chain groaned and the ceiling mount cracked dust onto the gym floor. 3 feet away, a 26-year-old MMA fighter named Darius Cole watched, arms crossed, and laughed loud enough for every head in the building to turn. What happened in the next 45 minutes would become Las Vegas legend, a story whispered about for decades in every combat gym from Nevada to New York. Let me set this up for you. It was a Thursday afternoon at Iron Summit, one of those invite-only training facilities tucked behind a strip mall on the outskirts of Vegas, the kind of place where former champions came to sweat in peace. No cameras, no fans, just iron, leather, and people who hit things for a living. Jason Statham had been coming here for 3 weeks, preparing for a role that required him to look like he could kill a man with a folded newspaper. He was 49 at the time, lean, shaved head, veins running down his forearms. He didn't talk much. He showed up, worked, and left. Darius Cole was the opposite. Cole had 7 professional MMA fights, all wins, 5 by knockout. He was 6'2", 220 pounds, and he walked through life like the world owed him a highlight reel. He'd been featured on 2 regional MMA cards and had a following online that ate up his trash talk the way seagulls eat bread. He posted videos of himself knocking out training partners. He posted videos of himself flexing in bathroom mirrors. He once posted a video of himself slapping a heavy bag off its chain and captioning it, "Next opponent's jaw." Believe me, I'm not exaggerating this guy. Cole had been eyeing Statham all week. See, here's the thing about guys like Cole. They don't just need to win, they need an audience. And having a Hollywood action star training in the same gym was too much for him to resist. It was a stage he couldn't walk past. So when Statham cracked that bag and the dust fell, Cole saw his opening. "Yo, that's cute," Cole said, stepping closer. "You practiced that for the cameras?" Statham didn't respond. He reset his feet, rolled his shoulders, and threw another combination. Left hook, right cross, left uppercut, crisp, mechanical. The bag swung hard. Cole moved closer. "I'm talking to you, man. I said that's cute. Little movie punches." Here's what nobody tells you about Jason Statham. Before Hollywood ever found him, he was a competitive diver on the British national team. 12 years. He trained in multiple martial arts, including kickboxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, since his 20s. He didn't play fighters on screen because he had a good jawline. He played fighters because he could actually fight. But Cole didn't know that. Or maybe he did and didn't care. Statham pulled off his gloves. He turned and looked at Cole the way you look at a parking ticket. Annoyed but not threatened. "Can I help you?" "Yeah. You can stop pretending you know what you're doing." The gym had maybe 15 people in it. Bags stopped swinging. Ropes stopped skipping. Every pair of eyes drifted toward the 2 of them. "I've seen your movies, bro," Cole continued, his chin raised, his chest out. "That choreographed garbage. You couldn't last 30 seconds with a real fighter." Statham tucked his gloves under his arm. He looked at Cole for a beat, then turned back to the bag. He pulled his gloves on again, started hitting. That should have been the end of it. A grown man choosing not to engage with a kid running his mouth. Walk away. Keep working. Let the noise die. But Cole wasn't finished. Not even close. He pulled out his phone. He held it up, camera on, red dot recording. "Hey everyone, this is Darius Cole, live from Iron Summit. I'm here with Jason Statham, the movie star. And I just asked him to spar and he won't even look at me." Get this. He was narrating it, turning it into content in real time. Statham's jaw tightened. He kept hitting the bag, but his rhythm changed. The punches came harder, shorter, angrier. "See that?" Cole said into the phone, walking around Statham in a half circle. "He's scared. Action hero on screen. Scared little man in real life." A trainer named Marco, a thick-necked former boxer who ran the afternoon sessions, stepped forward. "Cole, put the phone away. This isn't a playground." "Nah, Marco, this is content, baby. The people need to see this." Marco looked at Statham. Statham had stopped punching. He was standing still, hands at his sides, gloves still on. His chest rose and fell slowly, controlled breathing, the kind of breathing a person does when they're choosing what happens next very carefully. "You done?" Statham asked. His voice was flat, low. "I'll be done when you step in that cage with me." Cole pointed to the octagon in the back of the gym. It was a regulation cage, fenced, padded, used for live sparring sessions. 2 rounds, 3 minutes each. Let's see what Hollywood's made of. I swear this happened. A 26-year-old kid with 7 fights just challenged a movie star to a cage match in a private gym in Las Vegas on a Thursday afternoon. And he was filming it. Statham looked at the cage. He looked at Cole. He looked at Marco. Marco shook his head. "You don't have to do this." "I know," Statham said. He pulled off his gloves. He walked to his bag. He sat down on the bench. And for about 20 seconds the entire gym held its breath, thinking he was going to pack up and leave. Instead, he pulled out hand wraps. He started wrapping his knuckles, slowly, methodically. Right hand first, weaving the cloth between each finger, pulling it tight across the wrist, then the left. Cole's face changed, just for a flash. The grin slipped, his eyes narrowed. Because up until this moment he'd been performing. He'd been banking on Statham walking away. That was the content. Movie star runs from real fighter. That was the clip that would get 2 million views. But Statham wasn't walking away. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Cole recovered fast. He put the phone down, handed it to one of his training partners, a kid in a backwards cap who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Film everything," Cole told him. "Every second." Statham stood up. He walked toward the cage. No announcement, no trash talk. He just walked. Straight line. Shoulders relaxed. Feet quiet on the mat. People in the gym started moving toward the cage. Word traveled fast in a space that small. By the time Statham stepped through the cage door, there were maybe 20-25 people gathered around the fence. Trainers, fighters, a couple of staff. Someone had even called people in from the parking lot. Marco stepped into the cage. He was going to ref. He didn't look happy about it. "Light sparring," Marco said. "I see anything dirty, I stop it." Cole shadowboxed in his corner. He threw combinations at the air, fast and flashy, bouncing on his toes. He was warming up like he was walking out at the MGM Grand, full show, rolling his neck, cracking his knuckles. Statham stood in his corner, still, hands at his sides, watching. You know what's scarier than a man who's warming up? A man who's already warm. Marco brought them to the center. "Touch gloves if you want." Cole reached out. Statham didn't touch them. He just nodded once and stepped back into his stance. Let me tell you about that stance. Left foot forward. Right foot back, hands up but loose, weight balanced. It wasn't a boxing stance. It wasn't a karate stance. It was a blended fighting stance, the kind you build after decades of mixing disciplines. And anyone in that gym who'd trained long enough recognized it immediately. One of the trainers, a jiu-jitsu black belt named Reyes, leaned against the cage and whispered to the guy next to him. "Cole's in trouble." The first round started. Cole came out fast. He threw a jab. Statham slipped it, moving his head 2 inches to the right. Cole threw another. Statham parried it down with his lead hand and stepped left. No counter, just defense, reading. Cole pressed forward. He threw a 1-2 combination, jab and cross. Statham blocked both with tight, efficient movements, hands barely leaving his guard. Then he circled away, keeping distance, keeping the center of the cage. Trust me on this. The first minute of that round was a clinic in patience. Statham didn't throw a single punch. He moved, blocked, slipped, and watched. And every second he did it, you could see the frustration building on Cole's face. "Come on, movie star," Cole shouted. "Fight!" Statham kept moving. Cole lunged with a right hook. Big, wide, the kind of punch that ends fights if it lands and ends careers if it misses. Statham ducked under it and came up on the other side. Cole stumbled forward, his momentum carrying him into nothing. Now the people around the cage started to murmur, because they were seeing something Cole couldn't feel yet. Statham was making him miss. Not by accident, not by luck, by design. Every angle, every step, every head movement was calculated to make Cole swing at air. Cole charged again. This time he went low, shooting for a takedown, wrapping his arms around Statham's waist. This was Cole's world. MMA, ground game, where a younger, heavier athlete should dominate. Here's the thing, though. Statham sprawled. His hips dropped, his legs shot back, and his weight drove down on Cole's shoulders. Textbook sprawl, the kind you drill 1,000 times until your body does it without your brain's permission. Cole's face hit the mat. Statham spun to the side, freed himself, and was standing again before Cole could look up. Cole got to his feet. His expression had changed again. The showmanship was gone. Something else was there now. Something that looked for the first time like respect, or maybe fear dressed up as focus. 30 seconds left in the round. Cole threw a front kick aimed at Statham's midsection. Statham caught the ankle, just caught it, held it. For a full second, Cole was standing on one leg, his foot trapped in Statham's grip, and Statham was looking at him with an expression that said, "I could end this right now." Then he let go, pushed the leg away, stepped back. The round ended. Marco called time. Cole walked to his corner. His training partner handed him water. Cole drank, but his eyes stayed on Statham. He was breathing hard. Statham was breathing normally. Between rounds, something happened that nobody expected. Statham walked to the center of the cage. He motioned for Cole to come closer. Cole hesitated, then stepped forward. "Your right hook is telegraphed," Statham said, quiet, just to him. "You drop your elbow before you throw it. Tighten it up." Cole blinked. Let that sink in. The man who'd just been mocked, challenged, filmed, and disrespected was now giving his opponent technical advice between rounds, in a cage, in front of a crowd. You can't teach that kind of composure. You're born with it, or you bleed for it until it grows. Cole didn't say anything. He nodded, barely, just a dip of his chin. Then he walked back to his corner. Round 2. This time, Cole came out different. Slower, more measured, and credit where it's due, he'd listened. That right hook came tighter, the elbow tucked, the rotation sharper. He was learning in real time. But Statham was done being a teacher. The first exchange, Statham threw a jab, fast, clean. It caught Cole on the forehead and snapped his head back an inch. Not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to announce arrival. Cole fired back with a combination. Statham blocked the first 2, slipped the third, and then did something that made every experienced fighter in the building lean forward. He countered with a left hook to the body. It landed flush on Cole's ribs, and the sound was sharp and immediate. Cole's mouth opened. His arms dropped instinctively to protect his midsection. And in that half-second window, Statham followed with a right cross that stopped a 1/4 inch from Cole's jaw. He pulled it. He had a clean knockout shot, and he pulled it. Let the fist hover there, right next to Cole's face, close enough that Cole could feel the wind from it. And then he lowered his hand and stepped back. The gym went silent. Every last person. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Here's what nobody saw coming. Cole's eyes were wet. Not from the body shot, not from pain, from the realization. He'd just been completely outclassed by a man 23 years older than him, a man he'd publicly humiliated and called scared, and that man had chosen not to knock him out. That pulled punch carried more weight than any knockout ever could. It said, "I'm better than you, and I'm also better than this." Marco stepped between them. "That's it, we're done." Cole stood in the center of the cage. His hands dropped to his sides. His chest was heaving. He looked at Statham, who was already walking toward the cage door, unwrapping his hands as he walked. "Hey," Cole said. Statham stopped, turned halfway. "How'd you get that fast?" Statham looked at him. And listen, this is the part people still talk about. He didn't flex, he didn't gloat, he didn't deliver some speech about respect or humility or knowing your place. He said 7 words. "I train like nobody's watching." Then he walked out of the cage. That line. 7 words. It hit different because of what it didn't say. It didn't say, "I'm better than you." It didn't say, "You're a joke." It said, "The work is the point." The cameras, the content, the trash talk, none of that makes you dangerous. The hours alone make you dangerous. Now let me tell you what happened after. Because the story doesn't end in that cage. Cole's training partner, the kid with the backwards cap, was still holding the phone, still recording. He looked at Cole. Cole looked at the phone. And then Cole did something that shocked everyone just as much as that pulled punch. He took the phone. He watched the footage, all of it, from the trash talk to the final moment. And then he posted it. He posted the whole thing, unedited, every second of himself getting humbled. He put it on his social media with a caption that read, "I came in loud, I'm leaving quiet. This man taught me something today." No spin, no excuses, no claiming he was sick or tired or wasn't trying. He posted the evidence of his own humbling for the whole world to see. Now listen, if you're watching this right now and you've made it this far, you're the kind of person who appreciates these stories. Real moments, real lessons, no fake drama. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, because we dig up stories like this every week, the ones that don't make the highlight reels but deserve to be heard. Now let me finish this. That video went everywhere. Within 48 hours, it had over 4 million views. People shared it, commented on it, argued about it. Some people clowned Cole for getting embarrassed. But most people, the ones who actually paid attention, saw something else. They saw a young man get humbled and respond with honesty instead of ego. And they saw an older man respond to disrespect with discipline instead of destruction. Statham never commented on the video, never posted about it, never mentioned it in interviews. When a reporter asked him about it 3 months later during a press tour, he said, "I don't know what you're talking about," and moved on to the next question. Classic. But here's where this story earns its place in the legend category, and I'm not being dramatic. 6 months later, Darius Cole showed up at a different gym, a bigger one. He'd made changes, his training was different, his attitude was different. He'd stopped posting knockout videos, he'd stopped with the bathroom mirror content. He was working with a new coach, a former UFC veteran who was known for rebuilding fighters from the ground up. Cole went on a tear. He won his next 3 fights, all decisions. No knockouts, patient, technical, grinding performances that showed a completely different fighter. In post-fight interviews, he was calm, measured. When reporters asked him about the Statham video, he didn't dodge it. "That was the best thing that ever happened to me," he said once. "I was building a brand. He reminded me to build a fighter first." Word got around. The story spread through gyms and locker rooms and training camps. And every time someone told it, the details might shift a little. A different gym, a different city, a few more people watching, but the core stayed the same. A loud young man challenged a quiet older man, expected a victim, and found a master. And you know what? I tracked down Marco about a year after it happened. The trainer who reffed the whole thing. Big guy, thick neck, been around fighting his whole life. I asked him what he saw that day, what stood out. He said, "I've worked with champions, world-class fighters, guys who've headlined pay-per-views, and I've never seen anybody control a situation the way Statham did. He wasn't fighting Cole, he was teaching him. Every slip, every block, every counter was a sentence in a conversation. And that pulled punch at the end, that was the period." Marco paused after that. Then he said something else. "You know what the scariest part was? Statham's heart rate never changed. I was standing close enough to watch his neck. No pulse spike, no heavy breathing, nothing. That man was in complete control the entire time. He could have hurt Cole badly. The fact that he chose not to tells you everything about who he is." No kidding. Let me give you one more detail that seals this whole thing. About 8 months after the gym incident, Cole had a fight scheduled in Las Vegas. Bigger card, bigger stage. His comeback was gaining traction, and this was supposed to be his statement fight. The week before, he was training at a facility near the Strip when he got a package delivered to the gym. No return address, just a black box. Inside was a pair of hand wraps, high quality, black, and a note handwritten on plain white paper. It said, "Elbows tight, finish what you start." No signature, no name. Cole knew who sent them. He wore those wraps for the fight. Won by unanimous decision. 3 rounds of disciplined, patient work. When the decision was read, he held up his wrapped hands to the camera. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Now think about that. Think about the kind of man who gets publicly mocked, challenged in his own training space, filmed without permission, called a fraud, and responds by dismantling the guy without hurting him. Then, 6 months later, sends him encouragement before the biggest fight of his career. That's not a movie. That's not a script someone wrote for him. That's character. Real, built over decades, tested in fire character. I've told a lot of stories on this channel. Stories about fighters, athletes, warriors, people who did extraordinary things under pressure. And this one stays with me because it breaks every rule of what we expect. We expect the confrontation. We expect the knockout. We expect the hero to destroy the villain and walk away with his chest out. Statham didn't do any of that. He won the fight without winning the fight. He earned respect without demanding it. He changed a man's entire career trajectory with a pulled punch and 7 words. I train like nobody's watching. Mark my words on this. That line is going to outlast half the movies he's ever made, because movies are stories someone else wrote for him. That line was his, from the floor of a cage in a strip mall gym, with nothing on the line except a young man's future and an older man's principles. Now, people ask me sometimes if this story is real, if it really happened the way people say it did. And I'll tell you what I tell everyone. The video exists. Cole posted it himself. Marco confirmed it. Multiple people in that gym have told the same story with the same details, independently, without coordinating. Either 25 people agreed to tell the exact same lie for no money and no fame, or it happened. I know which one I believe. And here's the final piece. The thing that ties this whole legend together. 2 years after the gym incident, Darius Cole got offered a role, a small part in an action film, not a Statham film, a different production. But it required fight choreography, real martial arts work, and the director wanted someone who could actually move, not just act. Cole took the role, nailed it. Small part, but it got noticed. He did 2 more after that, started bridging the gap between fighting and film, exactly the path Statham had walked decades before him. In an interview about the transition, someone asked Cole if he'd ever reached out to Statham for advice on the acting side. Cole shook his head. I don't need to, he said. He already taught me everything I needed to know. The interviewer pressed. What did he teach you? Cole sat with that for a second. That the most powerful thing a strong man can do is choose not to use his strength, and that the loudest person in the room is never the most dangerous. That right there? That's the legend. A cocky young fighter walked into a gym thinking he was going to embarrass a movie star. He walked out understanding that real power isn't a knockout. It's the punch you don't throw. It's the video you don't post. It's the victory you don't celebrate. It's showing up every day and training like nobody's watching, then proving it when everybody is. Jason Statham never talked about that day, never used it for press, never turned it into an anecdote on a talk show. The man who makes his living telling stories on screen let this one stay where it belonged, in the gym, on the mat, between the ropes, where the truth doesn't need a camera to matter. And Darius Cole, to his credit, became the kind of fighter and the kind of man that moment demanded. He took the lesson, swallowed his pride, rebuilt himself from the ground up, and every time he wraps his hands before a fight, he uses black wraps. Every single time. No explanation needed. That's how legends work. They don't announce themselves. They don't need a marketing team. They start with a moment, one real, unscripted, unrepeatable moment. And they grow because the truth in them is too heavy to ignore. A cracked ceiling mount, a laughing kid with a camera, a quiet man wrapping his hands on a bench, a pulled punch that carried more force than any strike ever thrown. That's the story. That's the legend. And now it's yours. I'll see you on the next one.